Hey, it's Aaron with the Mowing in the Dark Lawn Care Podcast.
Hey, this is Tony's Lawn Care Talk.
Hey guys, Cameron here with the Lawn Care Life in Missouri.
Hey guys, this is Dan White with Lawn Care Unscripted.
What up guys, it's Phil with Phil's Lawn Care.
And you're listening to the Turf Nerds.
Greg, it is going to be a really fun night watching football, isn't it?
Oh yes, we got the Mighty Lions. It should be fun going against the Vikings.
Yes.
And so it should be pretty fun to be able to watch these guys and see what they can do. Anzalone is back, correct?
Yes, he is back. But what's really entertaining about this is if the Lions lose, which Lord willing they won't, they'd be the first team in NFL history to be a wild card team with 14 wins. Isn't that kind of sad?
Yeah, it is. Well, whoever wins, the loser, I think, would be the first team. So if the Vikings lose, if the Lions win, then the Vikings would be the first team. Yeah. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens.
We're not huge sports nuts here, guys, but Greg and I do like our local teams. The Tigers were a good team last year. They went on that historical playoff run. Pistons are lousy. Red Wings are still in a rebuild. Lions got good over the past 2 years, but when it gets kind of depressing and quiet here during the winter and we're in the lull between work, Greg and I will talk about anything, right?
Hello, this is Greg.
Yeah, we're desperate.
Stop it. Get some help.
Please listen. No one listens during the winter, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of desperate, you can set up with Green Frog Web Design, Greg, right? Why don't you tell them about, we finally got all the ad reads straight with Ezra because he updated some verbiage, but what is it?
Well, he's talking, the most recent thing that Ezra's talking about is pay-per-click advertising. And with that, he's talking about with the PPC, your business can appear at the top of the search results, which is huge if you're trying to grow your business.
Huge.
And but it gives you more leads, more sales. You're hitting the keywords, and that's what Green Frog Web Design is going to do. Is they're going to handle that stuff for you because, hey, we're out busy trying to mow lawns, right?
Kentucky Blue, yeah.
And
I'm nonstop.
Yeah, and myself, I cut. I say it all the time. I cut Monday to Thursday, but I think this year I only did not cut 3 times on Friday. So because of the weather and it just made it very difficult.
Really?
Might have had myself set up a little bit, a little poorly in a couple of cases, but a couple of lawns a little bigger, taking a little bit more time. But I think I had 3 days this year where I didn't cut on Friday. But Ezra's going to be able to help you find the right clients probably with his search results and allow you to be able to make more money because now you've got the opportunity to get those less expensive clients. You're not desperate trying to grab anybody you can. He's going to help you find that client that's going to be a good client for you, higher paying client, and potential for more business as well.
We keep beating the drum, but it's true. Ezra is a solid guy. Check out his websites. What's also solid, where you can put some money back in your account, Greg. It's never too late to talk about Equip Expo 2025, and you can use either promo code Turf Nerds or Tony to save 50% all the way up until I think like a couple days before the show. I know Aaron Sutter has talked about this. Now is the time, guys, to look for a place to stay down there in Louisville. Speaking of Louisville, Greg, they're getting hammered with some snow right now, aren't they? Praise God, we're missing all that.
Yeah, they said the Midwest, Missouri, Louisville.
It's not Missouri, it's Missouri, Greg, right?
Missouri, I'm sorry, Cameron.
Missouri.
And but they're saying the Midwest, and it's cutting across everywhere. So those guys are they're getting hammered. It's going to be a little hard to get any cleanups done if you hadn't got them done yet.
Speaking of cleanups, I think I'm down to one. I did a salt event for 2 hours the other day with the guys. Kind of like these one salt events a week. Now that I'm almost done with the cleanups, I'm more keen to do snow, but I absolutely Greg, I still despise and hate the snow. I should have done what you did, never hopped into the biz with myself and then my buddies. I was joking with Hannah, but half serious. I'd let them, move one day down to Tennessee or Florida, get into more full-fledged landscaping and things like that. But we missed this storm completely. And in the meantime, I got 3 cleanups done the other week. And then so my neighbor, his son, has a house. His mom had passed away last year. He still held onto the house. Did a cleanup for him, and I also recruited my dad. This fence line of this neighbor's house is just overgrown brush and trees and stuff. So my dad and I went to work the other day cutting all this brush down, and then we finally realized halfway through, like, oh, this is way too much for my dump insert, because we weren't going to cut it all into small pieces, but that would have still been 4 or 5 loads. So guys, the importance of networking, we're not talking about this for our main topic of the episode, but the importance of networking, like Greg knows a lot of people in the biz now too, just through Facebook, but this was one of my dad's friends. He's a tree guy. Shout out to Robert's discount tree service. Sent him a couple pictures. He came up and wood chipped and cleaned up all the brush and wood that we gave him for $200, and it was good. We put some money in his pocket, but that's what you have to do. So it was a good job that we profited on just with the labor. But I was sitting there talking to my dad. I was kind of tempted to go into the tree biz, Greg, but man, these tree guys are wild, and it's dangerous though too. And my chain was kind of dull on my chainsaw. I was having to kind of push back and forth. It's not what you do when you're cutting down wood, is it?
No, you want to get yourself a good backup chain. I don't know if you have files that you can go ahead and do a quick file on your chain as well. I know a few people that some of those tree guys, they can sharpen their blades by hand in 5-10 minutes. They can just zip it right around. They do have those things that you can put at the end of your blade, and you just hit your thing one time and supposedly sharpens them up. Talked to a couple of guys there. They're not big fans of those, but yeah, you got to have a good sharp blade. I think I'm going to get rid of my chainsaw. I'm just not happy with it.
What brand do you have chainsaw?
I have a Stihl. So
why don't you tell everyone your romantic love for Stihl, Greg, right? Or Stihl, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, if I could get it to start, I would love to tell you how much I like it. But I've been on jobs where I've been doing stuff, and it's I shut it off to move some stuff, and then I go to try and start it back up, and it won't start back up for me.
You know what it is with that? I think it has something to do with, I think the Stihl, or at least chainsaws, at least on the Husqvarna end, but maybe with Stihl too. I think they have some sort of, Greg, they have that, it's the auto-tune carburetor, and it's something with the carburetor when, like, I ran my chainsaw for a while, because I have a Stihl Wood Boss. I don't know the model, but it's the Stihl Wood Boss, and I shut it off for 5 minutes, and it took me like another 5 minutes to actually get it to, crank and turn over to turn back on. It just kind of wears and beats you up, doesn't it?
And it's not easy to start a chainsaw. I mean, you're bending over, you're trying to pull it, and it still won't start. I mean, 5 minutes trying to pull start something is a long time. And it just drives me nuts. And I think mine is a switch. I've got the older chainsaw. Mine's 15 years old probably. But I mean, from day one, I had issues trying to get the thing started. And I think I mentioned this on the show one time. I was doing a job and it died on me, and I couldn't get the thing started. And I happened to see some other guys, another set of lawn guys or something. And I said, "Hey, can you figure out what's wrong with this?" And the guy kind of tweaked the switch, and he says, "Yeah, I think you got a problem with your switch here."
Oh wow!
And it's going to cost $150 to take it in. It's going to cost me $150 to fix it, and for that I might as well just go out and buy a new chainsaw.
That's one thing I won't mess around with. I guess I could replace the carburetor on a chainsaw, and at least Stihl has it laid out where you can adjust the high and a low on a chainsaw. But I was doing a job. It was a brush job the first week of November when I transitioned to cleanups too early. Haha, guys, I transitioned. And the chain, when I was doing a job, Greg, the chain fell off in like mid-cut. So I had to put it back on. I know how to put the chains on. Basically, guys, someone will correct me, but you want the chain, obviously not too tight, but not too loose, and you want to be able to pull down on it and it to snap back in place. At least that's how I've done it, but I was such an idiot with it, Greg. It took me like 10, 15 minutes to put it back on. I was so frustrated. It should have took me like 5 minutes.
Mine, it popped off the other day when I was trying to, not the other day, about a month or so ago when I was using it last, and the chainsaw, or the blade popped off, and it was, I got it back on. It wasn't that hard to get back on. Got it back on. A little bit later, it popped off again, and I'm done. And I think I've got a piece that's broken on there as well. I think they've got those small guides that you're supposed to put it into, and I think one of those guides could be broken as well, so I'm not sure. I was just going to give it to a buddy of mine and go buy a new one.
I also picked up, I think I mentioned this on the show a while ago, when we were up in Munising seeing my buddy Ryan. He runs a hardware store, and his wife runs the Pictured Rocks Cruises up there in Munising. I picked up a Stihl hand pruner chainsaw, like the little battery powered ones. Those things are awesome, but even with that, you got to be the chain can be finicky though too. But it's easy because you don't have to like crank it over. You just hit a button. You know, I'm getting turned on to some of the smaller battery stuff, but I'll still knock the battery stuff when it comes to blowers or weed whips. There's no way any battery powered equipment will survive a week on my setup with the amount of things I have to trim.
No, and then you got to buy extra batteries. You got to have you bring them home. You got to charge everything up that night. If you forget to charge it, you're stuck. And they're a lot cleaner, I guess. You don't have to do any carburetor work or any of that. But I'm like you. I don't see where I'm going to be going to battery powered on much of my equipment. I do have that little chainsaw that you had told me about.
Yes, shout out.
Yeah, that was, what was that, about a $30 chainsaw?
But it works great. I think our cousin Kenny, shout out to Kenny, who I think he's making a return to Equip Expo 2025 as our media and camera guy. Kenny actually heard us talk about this on our show, and he went out and bought the same one, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. It was, when I was using it, the first time I used it, I mean, my buddy was with me, helping me on a job, and we're looking at it going, man, this thing is hungry. And it worked really well. I was really impressed. Fortunately, I had both of the batteries charged on it, and but it worked really well. I didn't need two charge. I went through the one battery in probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe on the second battery, and still had a little bit of charge left. I just did another job where unfortunately, I didn't charge the battery before I went to it, and it died on me. The first battery died kind of quick, and fortunately, the other one was fully charged. But it was important that you have both your batteries charged.
Well, for a cheap Chinese piece of junk, Greg, I thought it actually performed pretty well, and for the price, you couldn't beat it. So, Greg, I know we've said this a million times. I got lawn care on the brain and on the mind, and this upcoming year, I really want to this episode, I just want to focus about how to plan for your lawn care seasons. And I like what you were kind of harking on me the past 2 years, Greg. A lot of things I do right. There's still a lot of things I do wrong, and praise God, we have people who even listen. Especially to me, just drone. But you said something really important, and you've said this on the show before, is what's your average cut cost, right? Like from all your lawns, what's your average priced lawn? It's good to kind of plan and know these numbers so then you can better plan for your year, right?
It's important to know what your average cost is, per average cut price per lawn is, and then how many lawns you have. That makes easy math for you. If I'm cutting 60 lawns a week, because we're solo, so let's be reasonable, 60 lawns a week. If I'm cutting them at $45 a lawn, what is that? Let me do real quick math. 45 times 60 is $2,700. But if I'm cutting 60 lawns at $50 a lawn, I'm at $3,000 a week. I just bumped it up $300 by knowing what my numbers are. But if I want to get to 60, if I'm cutting 65 lawns, I'll do the subtraction here. Okay, 3,000 divided by 65. Now I'm at $46 a lawn. So technically, if I could cut 60 lawns at $50 a lawn, I just saved myself 5 lawns to cut. You figure on average, my lawns are about a half an hour a piece, roughly. And if they're about a half an hour a piece, I just saved myself 2.5 hours in the week by being able to do that.
And that's good to know. I've been trying to get more oriented with my business. This is how we plan for this upcoming year. Aside from knowing your average cuts and, it's really good to know how many lawns you mow exactly and then the average cut cost. It's also good to be more organized with your clients and we used to send out, like, this is back in the day. I sent out mail invoices back in the day, and then we hopped on to email invoices for a while, and then shout out to Yardbook. I used the free version that's come clutch all the way through with what I have to do. I don't need Jobber. Guys use Jobber. Jobber's really nice, but I just don't need it. And Yardbook has helped me be really, really organized, but I need to do an even better job in Yardbook getting I have everyone's emails, but phone numbers. It's like in my phone, and this is a good tip on how to always be right with your clients. I would say always either email or text your clients, because if you text your clients, you can keep that text thread. Don't delete their threads. I've done that, but if by not deleting their threads, you can always be right with the conversation, Greg. And that's been huge for me, just putting everything like digitally, but really getting the proper addresses and phone numbers and emails down. I finally have done a much better job. My wife used to be a teacher. She taught math and Spanish. And Hannah, hopefully she's listening to this, probably not. She's super organized. I'm not. And when we were kind of transitioning from like doing email invoices to Yardbook, she goes, "You need to like have the proper like client names in this. Like one, I had Indian guy like on the hill for a name. It's like get his actual name and his right number and things like that, right? So it's
Indian guy on the hill. Yeah, that's
it was a funky name, guy. So that's what I called it. But this is huge for us. The more organized you are, and even organizing your equipment though too. Our trailers, between Greg and I, at least equipment-wise, we're pretty organized. But being more organized helps you get done faster and make more money too.
The client information is really important. Make sure you have the addresses, correct address. I've had where I was off by a digit and that messed up, trying to send something out to somebody. I'm telling somebody to meet me somewhere and I have the wrong address, and that doesn't go over well. I've got some elderly clients, they don't even have email, so it's important to make sure you have the phone number. But you touched on something that's really important though, is keeping those threads. Even my bookkeeper, she won't take a call from me. She wants me to email her or text her. That way she's got backup of, hey, Greg, this is the email. This is what we discussed. And this is what was discussed in the email. And so I can't go back and say, no, we never talked about that. And the same thing for you is you keep that thread going. Client says, no, we never talked about, you never told me that I had a busted sprinkler head. And so, by the way, here it is on May 3rd at 2:45, I sent you a text and said, you got a busted sprinkler head, just FYI for you. You need to go ahead and get that fixed. So that's important. I've only had it happen once or twice where I had to refer back to the text and say something to them, but it helped me out, and it's important for you to be able to keep that. Same with the emails.
And we can say this because I've been there, guys, and we're part of several. I say this almost every episode, several lawn care Facebook groups, local and then national though too. Our industry is not very organized. Okay, aside from people's shoddy work, I've been there, I've done that. Don't have the best work, but we glorify God with our work, Rick. And I would say that we're out there boutique and better than most, but guys are not organized in the business. And they hop on these Facebook groups and they ask you stupid questions where I'm like, well, if you were organized and had everything set up the right way, you wouldn't, have to ask this. So that's important too. It's also another way to kind of prep for the upcoming lawn season. And what I do is I try to buy most of my equipment in bulk, at least when it comes to oil and oil filters and also blades, because I've bought by the quart, but that adds up over time. Just buying a Kohler or a Kawasaki box of oil, just buy the box, you're saving money. Sure, it's more money up front, but it really it saves you money there in the long run. How do you do it, Greg? I never quite asked. I thought you kind of pre-bought oil and things like that.
The oil, I've not bought it like by the box. What I've done is I've just used the high mileage oil at O'Reilly's. I'll buy it by
right?
Yeah, it works. I haven't had any problems with it. I'm sure somebody will come on and could come on and say, hey, Kawasaki is the way to go. I understand the Kawasaki oil is really good, but generally when I'm changing my oil, I'm doing it on a Sunday when when my place is closed, and I'm not going to get that oil. So I just started buying the high mileage stuff because that's going to to be burning hotter. My understanding, and that's worked out fairly well for me. And then I've got those big bottles that I can just pour my old oil in, and then that works out pretty good too, because then I can just take it up to the local auto supply place and they take that oil back for us. So that's what I've done. I just bought some of that Opti 2, that 2-cycle oil. But here's something. I don't remember if I mentioned this on the show before. I was talking to my shop, and I was asking them about the Opti 2 oil, and they said it's really good oil, but it doesn't work well on Echo, and it's not lubricating enough on Echo products. I can't remember what his reasoning was, some level that he had mentioned, but he had said that they found that it's not working well on Echo. So if you guys are using Echo products, make sure probably not to use that Opti 2 on there.
Oh, it's funny you said that. Well, my EBZ 9000 is under warranty. Still haven't heard back from Husqvarna or Winegard. So Jack Easterly, if you're listening, I would like my blower back. So I've been using the Echo 9010T, and I was complaining to Greg. I switched on over to the Opti 2 thanks to the recommendation from Aaron Sutter. Basically, how it's set out, 12 ounces of your regular 50-to-1 mixed oil treats 5 gallons, but with Opti 2, it's half of that. So it'd be 6 ounces, treats 5 gallons. I noticed my 9010T, it runs pretty well on wide open throttle for a while, but then after you use it for a while, I noticed low RPMs, it likes to kind of shut off, and then when it goes back up to high RPMs, it's kind of doing this weird thing that my EBZ 9000 was doing, where it's kind of bogging down and I lose main power for a while, and then it kicks back on. I'm glad Greg talked to his, dealer or that mechanic about that, right? Maybe it's something to do with not proper lubricant with that, but the Opti 2, at least across the board, online has great reviews. Greg also touched on the high mileage oil, like from O'Reilly's for his mower. Kohler, well, they changed their name to Relcore, which I don't know why. It's like they lost a bet or something like that. The most ridiculous name ever.
No, they said it was because of the Kohler name, the family name. There's still Kohler out there, still doing the plumbing stuff, and they wanted to separate, right? Yeah, they needed to separate it, and they didn't want to have their name on the engines in case. And I understand this, in case there was an issue with quality. So they didn't want their name associated with that quality versus their plumbing quality.
Oh, fair enough. I'll still call it Kohler because it's online. It's advertised as Kohler. Kohler has a 300-hour oil change kit, and I got my Toro Multiforce. I'm looking at the screen right now. Never tried it yet, but it's just a Kohler Pro extended life oil filter. If a 300-hour oil kit, Greg and I, we generally change our oil at every 100 hours, but if you have the Vanguard system, that's every 500 hours. So I might try that 300-hour life, but I might even go up to 200 because I put so many time and hours on my mower. I don't think I'd get 300 hours out of that, right? That's just I don't know how true that is. They're probably just wanting you to just have your engine explode so you can buy another mower or engine, right?
Well, how much does that cost, that kit?
Oh, I bought it on eBay once, but then I got rid of it when I sold my Exmark rider. This is, I think it was 50, but it was $59 or $60 for 2 quarts of oil and a filter. Does that sound right? Here, let me go back. Okay, this one says, Amazon, $57, Tractor Supply, $59. Yeah, so it's about $60. But point being said, I mean, we've bunny trailed thanks to myself. Greg generally buys his oil just by the quart, and I'd like to buy them at least by 4 or up to an entire box, and that's a great way to plan for the mowing season. What else do you got for tips on how to plan, Greg? I think we hit 2 or 3 really good ones. It's basically, I mean, people are not organized, and it's buying the right equipment too. And planning routes though too. Go online, and when you plan your routes, I used to do this, but now that I'm so well knit, I don't. But there was this thing called, I think it was My Route. It's like My Route online, and I did that for a while where I would plan out my mowing routes to be most efficient. I don't know if guys do that, but that's a really good way to just cut down on drive time too.
Doesn't Yardbook have a routing tool?
They do, but I thought it was confusing.
Oh, okay. I've never used it because my routing is optimal, I'm sure, but they have they do have one. Well, speaking of Yardbook, they also, if you're a premium subscriber, they just introduced their bulk email program, and but you got to be a premium subscriber. I think it's like $35 a month. Is that what it was that you said?
And it was 35 or then like 50 for like was it platinum or premium?
So if you're one of those members, then if you can work with that system, if their routing tool is good, I mean, they could have improved their routing tool as well. But yeah, that's important for you, is to be able to get your routing down so that you're working it properly. That can save you a half an hour a day, which is, in my case, that's one lawn. I can get rid of one lawn a day by routing properly, and that's important for you too. But as we're talking about getting ready for the season, I'm probably about beginning of February, I'm going to start sending out emails to all my clients again, saying, okay, new season begins, getting ready to, I'm starting to organize my route. Wanted to make sure you're still interested in me working with you. I do it a little differently though. I wait for them to reply and give me a yes, and then I tell them when they're going to get their price increase. So I've already gotten them to commit to me.
That's funny. I'm glad you said that. Okay, mowing, the profit margins are horrible. They're only decent when you have extreme routes. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to be more, I guess, proactive this year, and I'm going to be almost trolling people about offering other services. Hey, I offer mulch installation, aeration. I can trim some, trees and low branches, hedge trimming, things like that. I think I'm going to offer some Google Forms sheet or something of the sort, and have people check this off and keep pushing the service so I get that extra income. That's where we really make our money, Greg, right? Is when we do those mulch jobs together, or that hedge trimming job, or that spring cleanup, or brush removal, X, Y, and Z, or the aerations at one neighborhood where we apparently sicked out the 7 houses we just butchered because of just the sprinkler line. So that's also huge too. But getting on to back to what you said though, Greg, getting on top of sending out that the emails in February about people signing back up. I'll probably do the same thing. Probably maybe early February, mid-February. Give them a month or less to pay. Probably raise them $4 to $6. But it's being more proactive and almost being a little self-centered with your services, because Greg, they want us to sign up for mulch. Like we want that job.
If we can get those mulch jobs, those are huge for us. The tree trimming, the shrub trimming stuff, that's bread and butter money for us. I mean, that's where we can really take some advantage. I mean, I'm guessing last year, I think I did probably, for me, again, it's I'm kind of small, but I think I did about $10,000 in extra business. That's $10,000 more than I had.
That's huge.
So yeah, that's huge. And for that to come through, that's beneficial. And that's what you really want to do, is make sure that you can get that kind of stuff. But getting on top of it in February, here's the other thing you could do to help grow your business is referrals. When you reach out to those clients, hey, I'm getting ready to start back up. I'm trying to set up my route. Want to know if you're with me. And by the way, referral business, if you send me a referral in your neighborhood, and that's the important part, is because that keeps your route density. And but if you send me a referral in your neighborhood, you get one free cut. And people love one free cut. You don't have to give them 2, you just give them 1, and that's going to be beneficial for you, because guess what? You just grew your business without doing anything. It's already it's a warm lead, because the client is your existing client. They just gave you a lead for you to be able to go to talk to this person, or have that person talk to you. You're going to be able to benefit from that. That's important, and that's where you grow your business.
That is huge, because you're giving back to the client, though, too. There has to be more planning that goes into our lawn care seasons, and not just getting back out there and going through the same routine, because we are in it to profit and make money. And a lot of this just comes down to having better forethought and being more structured and being more organized. When my trailer is more organized, when my mower is clean, when my truck is clean, when my garage is clean to wrench on my equipment, when my blade sharpener is clean, I'm less anxious and I'm in a better spot to succeed because I can think clear, though, too. Guys, we're sometimes a ragtag group and you don't take care of your stuff and you're not organized. It's just like, this is horrible. So, guys, we hope that these what we've waxed about through the through the tangents have been beneficial. Greg, what's your final words of wisdom or random thoughts you want to impart us with as we prep for a Lions victory over the Vikings?
Yes, go Lions. Just start to figure out what you want to do this year. I know it's early. We're only in January, but if you start getting this stuff out in March, it's going to be too late. And people may have, especially new clients, potential for new clients, it's going to be too late for you to pick up new clients. But that's going to be important for you is make sure you're organized. Like you said, making sure your truck is organized. I think that's important. I can't tell you how many times when I've been painting that I put down a tool and then I spend 5 minutes looking for it. And, because something came up and guess what? I just spent 5 minutes. You do that twice a day, you just wasted 10 minutes. And, if you're on a 5-day job, you do that twice a day, you just wasted at least a half an hour looking for stuff. And that's time is money. So make sure you're organized, make sure you know where everything is. And if stuff gets displaced, it makes it a pain when you're trying to find your stuff in your truck. So yeah, those are important things for you too, is just make sure you're really well organized, like you said, Evan.
Perfect. I will pray quickly for us. Guys, thank you for listening. As always, rate the show. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day in the beginning of January, new year, new time. Pray that guys in the industry would hop on your word and use it as a guiding light. Just protect us, Lord, as we get out there and remove snow and salt for the guys in, I guess, the mid part of the United States that's getting slammed. Just bless us, Lord, and blessings are not always monetary. They're trials and suffering too, and I pray that we would remember that, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.